We are now joined by Western Spring Television's correspondent, Joseph Atewe, who is reporting live from Benin City, the Edo State capital. Thank you for joining us, Joseph. Can you tell us what's going on where you are?
Thank you, Tommy, and of course to our viewers out there. Currently in Benin City, and like you stated, the election has been extended in some parts. If you recall that since we left for many of these places in the early hours of today, most especially 7 to 8 a.m., we reported that at the vac centers, some vac centers, adult staffs were still seen at after 9 to 10, stranded because many of them blamed that on logistics, saying that vehicles to move them weren't available, and citing some logistic problem, which must have affected, the extension that we're witnessing right now. Yes, we understand that some, what's it right now? The election in some areas have been extended, and that will be due to the later commencement of election in some parts of the state. Like we visited in Oredo and EDO. EDO, to be precise, what we got there at some minutes past 12. We understand that election hadn't started because the materials arrived at some minutes past 12. And talking about the EDO local government, not too far from us, where we here at GRA in Benin, and we understand. So areas where elections did not start on time, we cannot pinpoint where exactly are those areas, but they are saying areas where elections did not start on time. And it brings to question the readiness and preparation of INEC, because if they had promised weeks, days before the election, even on election day, the INEC chairman still told us that they are ready and prepared, for the election. So it brings to question the readiness of INEC and why those guys were not on ground. But as I said earlier, many of them who we spoke to told us it is based on logistics. And I think we sent some videos where many of these guys were seen, hopping into a truck. Some were waited or seated rather on benches waiting at after 9. Meanwhile, election was supposed to start by 8:30 a.m. But not to take away the credibility of INEC, because to a large extent, at least 70% of many of the polling units you have, in Benin State, in Edo State, election started on time. But then, as you stated, yes, the election has been what's the name right now, extended, but some areas, and those areas are where materials got there late.
All right, let's talk about the general turnout of voters. So how would you rate the turnout of people in Edo State?
All right, so, I always say something. As at 9:30, 10 a.m., you must have seen many of the blogs, many reports, low turnouts. You don't judge that because election started 8:30 a.m. I can decide to leave my house by 11. I can decide to leave by 12. So we waited before we reported. As at 12:30, at least to a sensible amount or a level, we had a decent amount of people turn out for that election. Maybe what we would have said is that we expected the amount of people that collected PVC, more than 2 million, we expected more. But compared to 2020, where they had less than 1.8 million, I feel like to an extent, people did turn out. The rain also played a huge role in discouraging people from coming out to come vote. And, rumor has it that, statements as they tagged it to be fake news, or what we've heard even prior to the election also made people not to come out. But not like reported by different blogs saying low turnout. They had a decent amount of people turn out for these elections. And I feel like kudos to INEC to an extent, for extending that election in some parts of the state. Kudos to them on that. So would you say low turnout? I don't believe low turnout. I believe they had a decent amount, but we expected more.
All right. It was in the report that PDP's candidate, Atewe Godalo, accused INEC of delays in his stronghold. How true is this?
But to me, some of the tactics, politicians will deploy, even in Osun State, the last election we had, as at 1:30, then we heard the candidate of the APC, say INEC isn't doing this. We also heard from the PDP saying INEC isn't doing this. It's normal from politicians, to play tactics like that. I believe that aside, materials arriving late, INEC did what they were supposed to do in terms of registration, in terms of ensuring the materials are on ground. Yes, they did. The only fault or problem they had was, some polling units receiving ad hoc staffs very late. Ad hoc staffs getting to polling units at 12:30, 12 o'clock, 12:30, some places to 1. Might have discouraged some electorates, but with what Atewe Ighodalo has said, I really won't buy into that, because with what we saw, where we visited, maybe he visited somewhere else, because Edo is a big state, but to the places we visited that I can vouch for and say and talk rather about what we saw, aside the delay, I did well.
All right, there's also been report of vote buying in the election. What is the situation over there? Do you feel this is also true?
The case of vote buying, I was speaking to my colleague in Lake Makedoju, and of course I spoke to some other persons. This has to be the worst election I've covered when it comes to vote buying. I mean, it got worse that there was no shame. It was being sold on the street like Richard cards. I mean, you had people sell their vote for 1,000, 2,000. If you're a VIP section, you want to come and watch, come and vote in style, you get 10,000. There was 5,000. But the bad part about it is that they were selling for 1,000, 2,000, and people were still voting. Now, in previous elections, you have people, it's been done codedly, where they sell votes. But here, when they started as at 9, 10, 11, all you needed to do was cast your votes, pretend as if you want to urinate, go to the back of the fence. All you need to do is hug and shake somebody, and it is thanks for coming. Right outside polling units, you have almost all the shops, you have outside the polling units. What they do is that you see what they call my orga, 9 run and 9 do. You just see people vote, go there, exchange pleasantries, money have exchanged. And let me also let you know that some hours ago, many of the observers from the King Park Development Initiative, from the Nigerian Society, Civil Society, a lot of them, and what they founded on will be vote buying. As I said earlier, this has to be the worst election that I've seen when it comes to vote buying. They had no shame, and it's more like, as they will say in Pidgin, they don't send anybody.
Okay. It's also been said that counting has started in some areas. What is it looking like at your end?
Yeah, counting has started in some areas, and to a larger extent, some polling units is done and dusted already. Once we leave after this interview, we should be going to INEC. But then don't forget, you also stated, which of course has been making the rounds, that INEC has extended the time in some places for the election. So we want to believe in those places they're still counting. But to a large extent, as I said, counting has ended. Some places it is still on. But yes, counting still goes on in some places because of the extension made by INEC.
All right, thank you, Joseph Atewe, for those brilliant analysis.
Thank you.
All right, do well to say so.